Dr. Lamoureux, thank you for joining me today. So we are coming up to November, which is Native American Heritage Month, and I'm really excited to have you join me today. What does National Native American Heritage Month mean to you?
First, let me just say this is an area that's been of great interest to me, but I am not Native. I was fortunate enough in high school to actually get a Rotary scholarship to go spend a year in Ecuador in South America. Was really fortunate to live in a community that had a very vibrant indigenous population. There were, traditional weavers. As I got to meet some of these communities, native indigenous people from the Amazon, it was clear to me that, it was just an amazing culture, amazing story, amazing people. Tourism was one of those unique opportunities for these communities to be able to support themselves, to create opportunities for economic development, and really the only counter to these extractive industries. And so I didn't know how at the time, but I knew that I wanted to study tourism and I wanted to help indigenous communities.
I really admire that a lot about you. So tell me more about your research.
My research is a bit non-traditional. I have been fortunate to be one of those academics that has had a career that's very applied, which has been great. It's allowed me to travel all over the world, to do lots of different work supporting many different indigenous populations, but also just rural communities, work with populations where tourism offers an opportunity for all of the things that we hope. So biodiversity conservation, gender equity, poverty alleviation, cultural preservation. So I really see my role as helping to use tourism as a tool to achieve these larger goals. So my research has basically been around that, but again, it's been very applied. I've worked in a lot of hands-on projects working with communities, and it's something that I hope to continue.
Tell me more about your research at Virginia Tech.
Sure. I've been at Virginia Tech for 7 years. This is my 7th year. Prior to my coming to Virginia Tech, I started looking at the problem that we have around tribal governance changes. So in many communities, the governments switch every 2 years or every 4 years, and a lot of the momentum that was being made in economic development, tourism specifically, was lost. And so we started looking at, how do we create a larger structure that is actually going to support and stay in place that is not going to be affected by changing tribal governments. Prior to coming to Virginia Tech, I was working with North Dakota on this issue, and that work continues. It's continued to South Dakota as well. And here in Virginia, our methods are a little bit different because the tribes of Virginia have been newly federally recognized only in the last few years. And so they're very much in the nation building stage of their development. We had actually gone through the process of writing a toolkit that serves as a guide to assessing your community's tourism opportunities and looking at all of the pieces from, what do we have to offer? What do the residents actually think about tourism? What do the visitors want? How do we appropriately tell our story? How do we engage our own people in the conversation? So myself and a group of other authors came up with that document, and we made it available broadly so that anyone could use it as a toolkit.
Tell me more about the work you've been doing in Montana.
It's a fabulous project, something I'm really proud of. It's not my work. I simply try to serve as a guide, but the native communities of Montana have done an amazing job of coming together. So tourism is a very powerful tool to storytelling, and it provides us a one-on-one opportunity to sit down, share our experiences, and learn, from the people that own the story, that own the dance and the music and the food and the photographs. We wanted to make sure that that story could be told by the originators of the story, and so bringing the tribes together to be able to speak to at the state level or at the national level. We know, based on Department of Commerce research, that after gateway cities, national parks and native communities are some of the things that are most asked about by foreign visitors, international visitors coming to the United States. The problem is, where do they go and how do they get that information, and what is a native experience is not all that clear. And so we wanted to make sure that the tribes of Montana had those tools that they would be able to speak for themselves. Our team worked through all of those things, everything that life can throw you, even during a pandemic, and came together, and they created the Montana Indigenous Tourism Alliance, and we were recently recognized this spring at the Governor's Conference for the Montana Governor's Conference on Tourism for excellence in tribal tourism development. So that was a little bit of a proud mama moment for me. And when I watched them up on the stage, it was incredibly gratifying. But the work's just begun, you know, the thing that we need to do. It's not enough to kind of throw some ideas and say, okay, you guys deal with this now. As allies, we have to provide the tools and the support to help them do what they want to do. And that's our challenge moving forward.
As a fellow Hokie, I think it's really important for progress to continue. How do you see a Hokie, like myself, continue this progress and take initiative?
One of the reasons I love Virginia Tech, and this is my third academic institution, but it's by far the one I feel most connected to, and it's the Udprosum. You know, we actually, as a land-grant institution and as an institution that has a give back literally built into our motto, I think in some ways it comes naturally for Hokies. To be specific, I think awareness is probably one of the strongest tools we have. There is a large population of Native people that still exists. They're still here. They don't exist in the past the way we tend to think about them. So I would encourage, you know, young Hokies, old Hokies, whatever, senior Hokies to become more aware. Take, you know, if you're visiting a national park, a state park, or anywhere really, one of the questions is, who lived here first? If you're a Hokie and you haven't become familiar with our land acknowledgement, that's a place to start.
But Dr. Lamoureux, I really appreciate you sitting down with me, and thank you so much.